This video is for educational purposes only and does not support violence of any form or kind. Firstly, we would like to send our heartfelt condolences to the friends and family of Tatiane Spitzner. Tatiana, a 29-year-old attorney, resided in Guarapuava with her husband, Luis Felipe. Examining their pictures, they appeared to be a joyous couple deeply immersed in love. However, beneath these picturesque images lurked a profoundly disturbing reality that culminated in a chilling conclusion. Brazilian authorities have unveiled distressing footage depicting the final moments of a woman's desperate struggle for survival within an elevator. Tatiane Spitzner reportedly endured a brutal assault by her husband, culminating in strangulation and her subsequent fall from a fourth-floor apartment. The footage captures Luis Felipe Manvailer forcefully handling the woman during the early hours of the morning. According to reports, the couple engaged in an argument during a night out, triggered by images of a woman discovered on Manvailer's phone. It's sad and unbelievable that a man who was supposed to love her did this to her. Security cameras within the city center condominium where they resided documented a detailed account of the incident, starting with a car pulling up outside the building. Disturbing footage depicts the jiu-jitsu martial arts specialist allegedly slapping his wife multiple times across the face in the vehicle as she attempts to resist him. The disturbing violence persists in the underground car park, where the victim is physically assaulted, kicked, choked, and pursued across the underground car park. He parked the car, exited, forcibly dragged Tatiana out, and pressed her against the vehicle. For the moment, Tatiana appeared to have gotten away from him, but he captured her in the elevator. There, she is brutally battered, overpowered, and restrained while desperately trying to escape. Security camera footage within the apartment building revealed Tatiana attempting to escape her husband in the garage, with the professor restraining his wife in the elevator shortly before the incident. Investigation indicated that the victim was asphyxiated inside the apartment, and her body was subsequently thrown over the balcony. It was suspected that Luis then used the elevator to transport Tatiana's body from the ground floor back up to the apartment. Investigators further suspected the likelihood that, before her death, Luis engaged in a prolonged period of violent physical aggression towards his wife. He then subsequently threw her body from their fourth-floor balcony. Security camera footage within the apartment building revealed Tatiana attempting to escape her husband in the garage, with the professor restraining his wife in the elevator shortly before the incident. Investigation indicated that the victim was asphyxiated inside the apartment, and her body was subsequently thrown over the balcony. It was suspected that Luis then used the elevator to transport Tatiana's body from the ground floor back up to the apartment. Security camera footage within the apartment building revealed Tatiana attempting to escape her husband in the garage, with Luis restraining his wife in the elevator shortly before the incident. The doors eventually opened and Tatiana tried to flee, but unfortunately, once again Luis was able to overpower her and drag her back into the elevator. Eventually, they managed to reach the fourth floor where he forced Tatiana into their apartment. What remains unseen is the alleged 15 minutes of brutality within the couple's apartment. Shortly after the pair arrived at their residence, a body was observed falling to the ground outside the building, hitting the sidewalk. Moments later, Luis arrives outside the building and observes around for a few seconds, determining whether someone noticed the crime scene or not. He decides to pick Tatiana's body and move it back to his apartment. Cameras capture the accused purportedly bringing the victim's body into the elevator. The suspect, appearing distressed, is then observed allegedly cleaning traces of blood from the elevator walls, wiping blood from the buttons, seemingly trying to cover up the crime. Luis then returns to the apartment and changes his clothes before he again makes his way downstairs, gets in his car, and drives off. Investigation indicated that the victim was asphyxiated inside the apartment, and her body was subsequently thrown over the balcony. It was suspected that Luis then used the elevator to transport Tatiana's body from the ground floor back up to the apartment. Investigators further suspected the likelihood that, before her death, Luis engaged in a prolonged period of violent physical aggression towards his wife. This was not a suicide but rather a case of femicide, where a woman is killed by a man because of her gender. The assailant then attempted to flee by car. Residents in the building, alarmed by a woman's cries for help, contacted the police. Some witnessed a man retrieving the victim's body from the pavement, with one recalling hearing him exclaim, "My love, wake up." Police asserted that Manvailer admitted to bringing the body up in the elevator to the apartment. Security images captured him fleeing the scene in a car. He was apprehended approximately 185 miles, 300 kilometers, from the city on suspicion of murder, having crashed on a motorway. He claimed to have fled because he was too disturbed by the images of his wife jumping to remain at the scene. The autopsy results emerged nearly 2 months after the tragic incident took place. At the time of her death, it sparked national outrage, triggering a widespread discussion on domestic abuse and the vulnerability of women in a country where 1,133 individuals fell victim to femicide in 2017. Luis was handed a 31-year prison sentence for the murder of his wife. Luis Felipe Manvailer was convicted of strangling his wife to death and subsequently throwing her body from their 4th-floor balcony. The verdict, reached after a 7-day trial, sentenced him to 31 years, 9 months, and 18 days in prison for charges of homicide and obstruction of justice. The jury, consisting of 7 men, found him guilty of taking the life of Tatiane Spitzner, his wife of 5 years, whose body was discovered inside their apartment in Guarapuava in July 2018. What are your thoughts about this case? Thanks for watching. Click that like button and the notification bell if you like the video. Leave a comment below.